So this is Elise Guyette, and I'm Gail Rosenberg, and last year we created the Burlington Edible History Tour, part history, part food. Elise has published books on cultural diversity, I've published articles on food, and on our tour we connect the history of various ethnic groups that built Burlington to their food traditions. And for this, we did original research. We traced the history of grocery stores, butchers, restaurants. We tracked down descendants of the owners. We interviewed them, our favorite part. And this is Sylvia in the picture. She lives in North Avenue, and she talked about her German family growing up there. And like others we interviewed, she gave us stories aside from food. Vermont is a leader in the farm-to-table movement today. And on our tour, we show that farm-to-table was a way of life for our ancestors. A century ago, as now, the Intervale was the center of farming. There were piggeries there, slaughterhouses, and grocers bought their food from local farms. With all the emphasis today on ethnic food and local food, information was really limited on the food traditions. We found very little. That's the Italian group that put signage around town. Elise has a book on food, on culture that includes food. So last summer, we put together our research on a 2-mile walk around Burlington, starting and ending by the lake. On our route, we tell food-related stories about 11 different ethnic groups. We stop at 5 restaurants serving local food, and we include stories of strong immigrant women. So there were surprise findings. People lived on houseboats by the waterfront, even through the 30s. French Canadians and Irish immigrants were Catholic. They worked together, but they went to different schools. They joined different political parties. After the Burlington Brewery closed in 1882, there were 100 years before another brewery opened, a legal brewery. So changes are expected, but a change in geography. So this, the lake once came up to Battery Street, and the railroad and lumber businessmen created new acres by filling in the water with wood chips. Decades later, when they tried to sell it to developers, the court sided with the city, and that was when Bernie was mayor. Now, this was another surprise. Today, refugees come here and open up restaurants and food carts with food from their country. Not true 100 years ago. The Greeks owned all the restaurants on Church Street and Burlington, except for 2, but they didn't serve Greek food. Chef TREVOR from Church and Maine, it was once a candy store owned by Greeks. He talks to our tour groups about the Greek-inspired dish he's created specially for our tour. And 3 chefs have created food specially for our tour. Another surprise was the diversity of our city in the past. At the turn of the 20th century, Vermont was 14% foreign-born. Throughout America, it was 15%. Today, it's 4%. And our tour celebrates the rich ethnic history of our past and our present.
And immigrants today continue that age-old movement of peoples. They have always come from everywhere, and they continue to come from everywhere. More recently from Africa and Asia. And we give 10% of any earnings that we make to the New Farms for New Americans. We also discovered that today new immigrants do start food carts, and the old immigrants from the past did the same thing. Samuel Bergman from this passenger list had his cart on Church Street in 1902, and the Andersons in the bottom also had a place. We learned new words like tonsorial, which has anything to do with barbering. And we also found new ethnic groups. The Anthony and Williams in this ad were African Americans. Williams came from Heinsberg, a 3rd-generation African American who moved to Burlington after the Civil War. Another new word was syncretism, which is a mixture of cultures when they meet, even though there are many people who try to keep groups apart. And we discovered that Yankee is one such syncretism of the mixture of what British people brought with them in their heads and what Native Americans taught them. We didn't find any tired, poor, huddled masses in our research. We only found people who were ambitious and strong and energetic, and we see here two families that did really well in Burlington, the Fayettes in peddling fruits, the Hirschbergs peddling vegetables. We also discovered that all the migrants who came to Burlington really helped each other out, and Marola's, who had a store and a home on Cherry Street for 48 years, Frank Marola was actually a one-man employment agency, and Stella, his wife, fed anybody who needed a meal. We found that during urban renewal, 224 homes were destroyed in Burlington and 41 businesses, including the Marolas. 27 acres destroyed. A Lebanese woman told us how she came back to visit her family, and every time she came back, a little bit of her neighborhood was gone. And we also discovered that these ideas about whiteness and blackness were really totally made up by slavers in order to legitimize their selling of and buying of human beings. And we think that if we're revisiting the Confederate symbols and the Confederate flag and getting rid of them, we should also be getting rid of ideas of whiteness and blackness. So these are some of the stories that we tell on our tour, and we tell them to people of all ages. We've had people from 13 years to 95 years. And here you see our final treat, which is perch from Lake Champlain, which people have harvested for thousands of years. And our next step is that we'd like to find some grants or investors to create some augmented reality. We'd love to carry technology with us so that we can show what Burlington looked like in the 19th and 20th century, and we can also have our interviewees tell their own migrant stories rather than our repeating them, because their stories are really very powerful. Thank you.